If I'm like successful to like other people, then if they're not as successful, it really triggers insecurities for people.
I am responsible for my perception of the facts. Your parents did what they did. They taught you the way they taught you. They raised you the way they raised you. That's the facts.
One of my superpowers is like owning, if I want something, I'm not going to stop until I get it.
I've integrated practices throughout the year where like I force myself to go away and do seminars.
As a mother, I think you a lot of times even need to be in your masculine in order to like get things done.
I think the biggest piece for me is like how selfless he is.
Do you think that like serving people and being a leader is different?
I think you can't have one without the other. Welcome back to the Ryan Zofe Experience. I am excited to introduce my guest, Caitlin Sarian.
Yep.
How are you, Caitlin?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, incredible. She is a renowned cybersecurity content creator and entrepreneur. How exciting is cybersecurity?
I mean, the unfortunate thing is I actually think it's really exciting. I don't think anyone else does, but I'm pretty excited about it all the time.
Yeah. Well, I actually just had my first experience with a security breach. So
Yeah.
I was hacked by some well-known Russian hackers.
You should be honored that they went after you, honestly.
I don't feel so honored.
You know, you're that big now where
Yeah.
people want to go after you.
Well, the insurance company referenced us as a smaller company, so I don't feel that big now.
I'm pretty sure if you have insurance, you're big enough to have insurance. So there's that.
So how did you get into cybersecurity? That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was really weird. I actually did aerospace engineering in college.
Oh, geez.
And then, yeah, weird, right? I love problem solving and math. It's
Okay.
like, I'm not good at English. That
Okay.
intro was created by ChatGPT, so shout out to ChatGPT for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was really good at math and science, and I just like love problem solving, and my ADD brain just like loves trying to figure everything out. And I was decided that I would get really bored if I had the same job. Like I interned at Abbott Labs and GE and Chevron, and I was like, you know, these are all great. I loved it.
Sure.
But the thought of staying there for more than like 3 to 5 years like terrified me.
Sure.
So I was going into consulting because I was like, oh, I can, you know, try different things and then figure out where I best belong. And while I was doing that, they asked me to consider cybersecurity, and I just immediately went in. I was taught everything on the job.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where'd you start out? Where'd you work?
I worked at Ernst & Young.
Okay.
And that was like the reason why I chose them, because I applied for tech consulting and like, you know, all the other big four and other companies, and EY was the one that was like, hey, we'd love for you to get into cyber. And I was just very intrigued. This was 11 years ago. So that was like brand new at that point, to me at least.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you grew up, were your parents like big advocates of like you going to school?
Yes. Yeah, school. I mean, I'm Armenian, so like schooling, like we're all like doctors, lawyers, like engineers, like it's a big thing. And actually, I didn't even apply to school for engineering. I knew I was going to be good at it, but I always thought it was like a man's job. Like I thought of an engineer as like a car mechanic for some, like a dirty old man car mechanic. And I just like couldn't see myself there.
Right.
And obviously this is before like social media. So I didn't have any role models. Like I literally knew no woman that was getting into engineering. And so I applied to school as an elementary education major because I really wanted to teach kids like in elementary school. Wow. And I changed, it was a random way I changed.
Why did you change?
This is a really bad reason, but I'll tell you the story.
You weren't going to make any money.
No, I actually didn't mean to change.
Okay.
So I went to SMU my undergraduate year, and I was a cheerleader, and they told me that the easiest like general ed, you know how you have to take a general ed side.
Cheerleader, cybersecurity, engineer. I mean, Jesus.
Weird. I'm a weird kid. I just
quite the resume.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I love sports, but and cheerleading.
What's your favorite sport?
Ooh, okay. I don't know. I have like a top 3. It's like American football. Okay. And then, you know, European football. Okay. The OG.
Football.
And then I love ice hockey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite team?
Well, I mean, I grew up in LA, so I was a Kings fan. Okay. And then LA never had a football team when I grew up. So I was always a Cowboys fan. I always wanted to be a Cowboys cheerleader. Oh. I went to school in Texas, so I ended up being a cheerleader in Texas. I'm a huge Cowboys fan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then obviously I cheered for the LA Galaxy too, so for like a year.
Oh, wow.
And then I had to quit when I did engineering because my dad was like, no one's going to take you seriously, which might have been accurate.
I'm just curious, how often does dad influence your decisions?
My family influences my decisions like all the time. It's like a big, like my family is my world, and I really respect everything that they said, and they really like kind of guided me. I mean, I transferred to USC after I changed majors, and the only reason why I went to USC was because my parents were like, it's better for you.
Sure. It's so wild. You mentioned, your parents have been a positive influence for you.
Yeah.
And see, in the formative years of a child between the ages of 1 and 8, the model of their world is being created. And so most people don't have like really smart, educated parents, and they just tell them what they think is in the best interest. And it leads to people not being happy. It leads to so many people like living an unfulfilled life. I mean, I would say that's why 98% of society is middle to lower class.
Right.
And so congratulations for having a badass family.
I will say my mom was like, my dad went like the normal corporate route. He's like a lawyer. He's awesome, super smart. He's the reason why he is so intrigued with everything. I think we both have a very ADD brain, so that's probably why. But my mom was always very entrepreneurial, and so was my sister. And so I kind of saw them. But I will say the one thing I learned that I didn't like is my dad like always worked. He was always working, and same with my mom, even though it was more of an entrepreneurial work. And I honestly just thought that was the norm, was like grinding.
Sure.
And proving yourself and like being the best and like being the top person at every company. And like, I don't think that's the case anymore. I found that like.
What was the shift for you? What was the big shift?
So obviously, as a woman in any STEM field, you always are trying to prove yourself. At least that's how I was, and I've spoken to a lot of women that felt the same. And I was trying to prove myself to others, and I was really trying to prove myself to myself. Honestly, like
do you believe that, like, how they say like this is a man's world? Do you feel like that is accurate? Or
I think that like to a point, yeah, but like in a corporate world, I think it's a man's world, and
Sure.
I think there's like gender roles, and as much as I am like I love empowering women and like women in STEM, I want women to feel comfortable in any area that they get into.
Sure.
I do believe for me that I still love the general roles. Like I love the man being able to like work and take care of the family. Like I want to be my feminine, and I want my man to be my masculine. And like that's like a really weird conflict of interest that I have had to deal with being like a woman in like a STEM career.
I was gonna say, do you feel like you've had challenges in relationships with finding like a masculine man because of all of the accolades that you have?
Yes, there's like two reasons. One is when I was working in corporate, I was grinding all the time.
Sure.
And I was always in my masculine.
Sure.
And it really didn't like lend me to like my softer side. And I've been really like taking the last couple of years to just find that and be in more of my feminine and be, just like happy as
what are some of the things that you've done to help you get more in your feminine? Because I feel like so often today, women, in my view, like when we talk about like feminine and masculine, I look at it as like survival versus like feminine and masculine. So like when I feel like women feel unsafe, their protection is like, hey, I need to take the bull by the horns. I need to do it. Yeah, I need to figure this out myself. And then it looks like, or it's being perceived as like being in masculine.
Right.
So my opinion, I feel like so many men today are like such, excuse my language, pussies, and they're not like taking responsibility, and it creates this environment where women feel like they have to defend for themselves or to protect themselves.
I found that when I was always in my masculine, the men that I would meet would be like, oh, I'm fine being a stay-at-home dad, and I'm like, that is the worst thing.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You've actually dated guys that
I
said
haven't
that?
dated them.
Okay.
I've like met them and like
on a date.
on a date, and
you're like in your interview process.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'll totally support you. I'm like, no.
Sorry.
I want to support you. I'm just doing this like in the meantime because I think it's fun, and
my
it's
God.
like, but like I realized that always being in my masculine made me meet the wrong people for myself. I mean, maybe
Sure.
there are some women that really want that. That's totally fine.
You said the wrong people. Is that what you said?
The wrong people for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what if those were the right people at the right time? It just wasn't your time.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Timing is everything.
Sure.
And I don't think I was in the headspace to meet the person that I need to be with or want to be with. Because, I mean, again, you talked about safety, right? There's a certain way that I feel safe and secure. And,
which is?
I need to feel like I could be, I'm financially free and stable. Like a guy, if I stopped doing what I was doing, I would feel extremely comfortable with a guy totally providing for myself and the family. And if he's still like, on his way, I need to feel comfortable knowing that if everything hit the fan, he's going to be able to like pick himself up by the bootstraps and get it done. And that's not happening a lot with a lot of men anymore.
It's interesting you say this. So like, it's funny because like being a guy, I have these guy talks, and it's so funny how most men are like, oh, I don't want a gold digger. I don't want somebody that like wants me for my money. But I don't think they understand like the concept, like money is our number one survival tool. Like
Right.
if you think about it, like unconsciously, like if we don't have money, we can't survive.
Right.
And so it only makes sense that a woman would want to be with somebody that's successful to provide, because it's safety.
Right.
It's providing something that is our lifeline.
Yeah.
And so the idea that women don't want a successful man or want you just for your money, it's definitely a part of the qualification. I think is so necessary. If you're a guy and you're thinking about like wanting to establish yourself and you're wanting a good woman, you have to be successful, or nobody is going to want to be with you.
Right. Or like show that you are capable of being successful,
Sure.
and you're capable like working hard and like figuring it out when times are
So you're
tough.
saying it's not so much about like the amount of money, but it's more like the hunger and the drive.
Yeah.
And the pursuit of success.
Yeah, and then it's also just like, again, that feeling of safety, which is not just like financial, but it's like emotional too, which is also
Sure.
really hard to find. I'm a pretty direct and blunt person, and when I have an issue, I'm just like, hey, this is how I'm feeling right now. I know I could sound a little off, but like, can we try to figure out a way to solve this?
Sure.
And a lot of guys are just like completely taken aback by that, and they're just like, what are you talking about? And then they like shift the blame, or there's like a lot of different types of
Do you feel
security.
like you trigger their insecurities?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and especially if I'm like successful to like like other people, then if they're not as successful, it really triggers insecurities for people.
Wow. So give me an example of something that you've had where you've like sat down with somebody and like, hey, these are my needs that I need met, and they're like, oh my God, taken back.
Yeah, I mean, so
Does one come to mind?
there's a few. I mean, there's times where like I travel a lot, and like
Okay.
usually my significant others had in the past have traveled a lot, but I'll give a good example. So I'm dating the most amazing man right now, and the first time I ever
Shout out to you, by the way.
Yeah, he's incredible, Alex.
Alex, shout out Alex.
Yeah.
If you're watching, Alex.
He was at a bachelor party, and like I'm fine with, like, I trust him, everything was okay, but the only thing I like is hearing from him at the end of the night. Just,
Sure.
you're okay. You don't need a long like, oh my gosh, I love you thing. I just need to say like, hey, we're home, thinking about you, I'm going to bed. Like, that's all I want. I just want to hear that, because
Sure.
otherwise, to me, and I expressed this, I said, it feels like I care more about you when you don't text me when you get home, and I'm also worried about you. So I'm like waking up
Sure.
every couple hours thinking like, okay, he's at a bachelor party in like Colombia.
Uh-oh.
Like, what is happening?
God bless you.
And it's not like what is happening like with other people. It's like, what is happening? Like, are you safe? Not like,
Sure.
I'm not like a jealous thing. And so I like expressed like, hey, I don't care what you're doing. I just care that I want to feel like I'm loved. And when I don't hear from you, I don't feel like that. And I know that's like in my head, but it would just be really nice next time to like, just let me
Sure.
know that you're home. And he was just like he's like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I never
Wow.
want to make you feel like that ever again. Like, I thought I texted you last, and we had a little fun last night, so I don't really remember, but I will never do that again. And like, I really appreciate you telling me. Like, everything, like every feeling was validated. It wasn't like shifting the blame.
Sure.
Because I see a lot of guys that are just like, no, are you kidding? Of course I like you. Like, clearly
Right.
something's wrong, or
Right.
they don't say sorry. They don't admit. They don't ever want to admit defeat, or that
Sure.
they're in the wrong. And even if like, you might not be in the wrong, it's sometimes for a woman to say like you're sorry, and that
Sure.
you'll fix it, and
Sure.
it won't. It's not empty words either.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's so important, and most men today like get triggered, right? And what I realize, and I've learned through my journey, is like if something that somebody is doing or saying is triggering me, then it's about me.
Right.
Something's going on inside that I haven't dealt with that I need to address. And so most men, though, want to blame, or people in general just want to blame their external reasons and external world on why things are happening to them internally. And like once I started looking in on like what's coming up for me and why this is happening, I was really able to start identifying like and really heal and solve a ton of my internal problems. And so kudos to you in that. And
I have a question for you.
Sure. What's the question?
So I, like you, always am like, I'm trying to understand like, why am I insecure?
Taking
What's
the lead
making
here?
me? Yeah,
Is this
like I'm trying to be as really rational as possible.
Right.
But sometimes you don't need to be rational for everything, and like
Sure.
your emotions are valid. Have you like found that to be the case? Like that you're like, okay, I understand why this is happening, but I'm still upset, or I'm still triggered, and like,
Sure.
are you like validating that, or are you still kind of trying to figure it out?
So I have different perspectives. See, I more work I do on myself, the more I realize that like there's an animal inside of me. Like
Right.
there's this beast that's like unconscious, and it's primal, and it's there. And what I've found is the more I can gain acceptance of those unconscious patterns and beliefs, the easier it is to manage it. Because what tends to happen, and what I've found with anxiety and stress and frustration, is that people are identifying a part of them that they don't like.
Got it.
Or they're identifying a part of them that they're like not satisfied with. And so that would be separate from love. That'd be separate from acceptance. And so the more I can lean into the crazy, the more I can lean into like, hey, that part's going to come up at times, and love that part, it doesn't show up as much. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And for me, it's the same as like when I would, go to church group and everyone was telling me about like how stressed they were because of family issues or whatever. And then I would rationalize like my own issues, being like, well, my issues aren't anything compared to what everyone else is going through. Like I shouldn't feel that bad, but then it's like you still have the right to
minimizing
feel.
it. So you feel like minimizing. Well, it's interesting because see, everybody has the same emotions. Everybody experiences emotions very similarly depending on the situation. So one thing that I've learned is like yeah, maybe my dad was abusive, but maybe your dad worked a lot, but there's still the feeling of like not being good enough, or there's still the feeling of like, hey, I wasn't important, and so maybe the vehicle to trigger those emotions may be different, but the feelings are still the same. Right. Like if you said your dad worked a lot, did you feel like growing up that you wanted more love or more attention from your dad?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was from everyone. I have a twin brother too, and a sister that's only like a year and a half older than us. So there was 3 of us all at the same time. And I think my mom was doing her best just to like get us, like letting us have a life and like taking us to our extracurriculars. But I always, I think as a kid, I always wanted more attention. And it was just, it's not that I'm not blaming my parents, because I think they literally were doing the best that they could.
Sure.
But there was that feeling of like, I'm not good enough to get the attention that I want or I felt like I deserved. And that was what really drove me to do like so well in school, because I would find that like when I did well, like my parents would be really proud of me, and then I'd like get this extra attention that not attention, but like just a feeling of satisfaction and extra love.
Who's the most successful out of your siblings?
I think it's how you define success.
So how would you define it?
If you're talking about financially, it's me.
I had a feeling you were going to say that, but
it's me.
Define success. Okay, great. Who's keeping score though, right?
Not me.
I'm kidding.
I love myself. I think they're like.
But so check this out. Think how cool this is, right? Because so often, like, see, one thing I realize is like I am responsible for my perception of the facts.
Right.
The facts are your parents did what they did. They taught you the way they taught you. They raised you the way they raised you. That's the facts.
Right.
But how you perceive those facts are going to determine your life, your world. And so based on you feeling like you didn't get the attention or the love that you felt like you wanted or you felt like you deserved, it drove you to become such an incredible human being. And see, Tony Robbins says this. I'll give a shout out to Tony. Like if you're gonna blame your parents for the bad, you also have to blame your parents for the good.
Yeah.
And so like me growing up, my parents were extremely abusive physically and emotionally. And for so long, I used to be so upset about that. And I would like pout and like, you don't understand how difficult it was for me. And I was like this victim. I had this victim mindset. But once I understood like that method of teaching, maybe it not have been ideal for most people, but it drove me to be here today as this human being. And so I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful. But what's interesting is like now that I'm understanding this, I can have more empathy and forgiveness and love for my parents, because as you mentioned, they truly did the best that they could with what they had.
Yeah. I mean, I'm one of those people, I would never change any part of my life. And I've had like crazy ups and downs. Like there's a point of like a decent amount of drinking in my life. Like there's a lot of stuff that happened to me that most people would just be like, what the heck? But I have this weird ability to just kind of forget, learn, and move on. Not forget, but like learn and move on.
Sure.
And also that's like created who I am today. And I very much appreciate every trial and tribulation that I've gone through, which I think is a little bit different than a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, you clearly have done the work, and you can feel that, and you can experience that with you. And Joe Dispenza says something that I think is really cool. He says, when you can have a memory and it's not attached emotionally, or there's not an emotionally charged experience to that memory, it's wisdom. Right. And it sounds like a lot of what you've been through is wisdom, and you've gained acceptance of those experiences and who you are, and that's why you are able to. What are the metaphors you use?
I just said like learn and move on.
Learn and move on. Yeah. So learn and move on. Where it's like, so for me, it's like I experience, learn, and then move on, right? Because memories are attached to an experience. And so for me, like, to be in tune with my emotional state, like, I want to be able to have those experiences and feel those feelings and not run from those feelings, because that's a lot of what people do. They escape their emotions, which is why they drink, they use drugs, they party, they look at porn, they get on social media. They can't sit in their own skin. And so the more I can, like, stay still long enough and, like, really experience Ryan, the more I'm able to fall in love with who I am. So I think that's really cool that you've been able to do that.
Yeah, I'm still working on the sit still part, like the
So
patience.
you feel like you have a hard time sitting still?
Very much so. The
And
yoga.
what do you think you're running from?
I don't think I'm running from anything.
Well, hold on. So if you can't sit still.
I just like to do a lot of things.
Yeah,
I
but
think
so
that's
what's
the
underneath?
ADD
What's
mind.
underneath that I like to do a lot of things? There's something driving that, right? So what do you think it is?
I think there's like a hunger and desire for success, but I don't know what's driving that.
Well, great
And
question.
I think it's also proving myself. I have to, like, for some reason, continue to prove myself that I'm
So how
worthy.
often do you find yourself, like, proving yourself?
All the time. And even, like, as a...
So
like
hold on. So if you're proving yourself, do you think you're coming from a place of lack or abundance?
I struggle with that because I know it's mostly coming from a place of lack. There are days where it's coming from abundance, but most days are coming from lack.
Well, congratulations for identifying that.
Thanks.
And so Joe actually taught me this. So it's so cool because the pursuit and the hunger that you have, if you're coming from a place of it's already done, or you're already receiving the gift, you're going to attract much more, much faster.
Right.
And so that's what Joe talks about, collapsing space and time. And see, when you have the thought of wanting something, your mind doesn't know the difference if it's real or fake. And so the thought of, like, hey, I want this thing that I don't have. And then if you're in pursuit of getting the thing that you don't have, you're in a lack mindset.
Yeah.
But if you imagine and generate the emotions as already having it and making decisions from that place, you're going to attract it much faster.
For sure.
Does that make
I
sense?
was actually reading I forgot which Joe Dispenza book. I read a lot of his, like, constant on repeat, but he's awesome. Sure. But yeah, I mean, it makes complete sense. And I think for me, it's also just, I don't know if this happens to you, but for social media, I feel like I have to constantly prove to myself that I'm, like, worthy of those people that are following me.
Wow.
Does that happen to you, or is that just me?
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
not just in social media, but all areas of life.
Yeah. Like, all these, I keep getting, like, all these accolades, and everyone's like, how do you feel? And I'm like, I don't even know how to respond.
Wow. What do you think that's about?
Maybe it feels like I'm not worthy of it, but.
And why do you feel that?
I have no idea, because I know that I, like, work really hard and I, like, deserve to be here, and I work constantly, but it's something I need to unpack.
Yeah.
Clearly.
What do you think you would find if you unpacked it?
I really have no idea. I, again, don't sit still enough to try to unpack it, and I, like, always am trying to learn and better myself and do something new.
But are you learning and trying to better yourself because you think something's broken?
I don't feel like I think something. I have a severely ADD mind, and I just get really bored.
So, but even that right there, like the identification of yourself, like, I have ADD. Do you think that's helpful for you?
To be fair, I actually didn't know I had ADD up until, like, 6 months ago.
But who told you this lie?
It's not.
If you're gonna buy the lie, buy a better lie.
It's not a lie. I've never been on any
I get
ADD
it.
meds or anything.
But think about this. Somebody said something to you and you just took it and, like, that's me now. I'm ADD.
Well, all the stuff that is
Can we
right.
get done? You're not ADD. You're not
I'm just a very unique individual that loves learning.
Isn't that much better? It sounds better to me.
Yeah.
I
don't have a negative connotation of that, though.
I don't either, but still, it's like these labels that we put on ourselves. I think it's like so detrimental to us.
Yeah.
So think about that, like the identification of, like, oh, this is who I am, or, like, I'm dyslexic, or I'm introverted or extroverted. Like, all these labels that we put on ourselves. It's you know what your greatest influence is?
What?
Your identity.
It's true.
And if you're saying I'm this, then that is your identity. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow. So I won't say that anymore.
Okay.
Just for you.
Just for me or for you?
Just for you.
You don't want to do it for you?
No, I'll do it for myself too. It's
All
probably
right.
better that way.
All right, good. Yeah, no, but, you know, and again, it's like a practice for me, because I'm careful with my words, because I find myself like even like I'm in recovery, right? And so people will say, like, I'm an addict. Well, I like to change it and say, like, I'm a recovering addict, because
right.
like I'm in the process of recovery.
Right.
Like, I identify as, like, somebody that is, like, healed and is going to continue to heal. and like falling in love with the journey versus like identifying myself as like, this is who I am.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
And you were saying in the beginning, I apologize, I jumped all over the place. I do that too.
Yeah,
See, I'm scattered with you.
Scatterbrains.
But I'm not ADD.
Scatterbrains unite. Definitely not ADD. Just scatter.
I'm so excited.
We're
I just want to cover
about
everything.
Yeah.
See? You were saying you were gonna teach kids, or you were on this career path of like teaching and being an educator?
Yeah. I wanted to do elementary education. I wanted to be like a first or second grade teacher. And actually in high school, I would like leave my lunchtime and go teach kids math in the local elementary school. I like loved it. And do you know what I found funny is that now that I'm in like social media and like influencing as a full-time thing, I actually am an educator. Like that's my whole thing is technically it's I'm educating the public on being safe.
Wow.
And so I find it's like, you know, it's such a small world that we live in. And it's like, you always end up back to like where your heart wants to be, I find, if you know what your heart wants.
Yeah. And what does your heart want?
I think I just want to help as many people as possible.
Wow. I think that's so beautiful. I'm also on that same path. I feel like I never thought I was going to be an educator by no means. You know, I'm a 7th grade dropout. So like to think like I'm going to be an educator one day.
What does that say about you? Should we not say seventh grade dropout?
Well, I did drop out in 7th grade.
Just a statement of fact.
Right. I love this. Coaching me back. Feeding back my own words. But no, I did drop out in 7th grade, and I didn't use the normal, like, you know, whatever you want to say, like the traditional education path.
Yeah,
I didn't do that. So like my way of education was like showing up at events, doing seminars. You know, a lot of it is just like practicing. Like I put on, I think, like 30 personal development seminars for free, and I leveraged my company. So I would like tell my employees, like, you got to be here, this is like a work thing. And like that's
what it is, a work thing.
It is. And I taught them, and some of them loved it, some of them hated it, but it taught me how to become a better communicator, better teacher. And so I love it now. I've fallen in love with like serving people and falling in love with like impacting others and educating people. So it's pretty cool.
Do you think that like serving people and being a leader is different? I ask this because I feel like I'm like at a crossroads where I'm like, it's sounds scary to be like, to like lead a lot of people. Yeah. But it doesn't sound as scary to teach a lot of people. Right. So I'm intrigued with your thoughts on that.
So I think there's definitely overlap there.
Right.
I do. And I think you can't have one without the other, in my view. That's just my opinion.
Right.
And I think like leadership for me is like a servant, right? You're there to serve.
Right.
That's what leadership is to me. And so Tony talks about like these archetypes. I think Charles Jung has these like, there are archetypes in all of us, right? And there's like the hero inside of you. And the Latin root for hero is servo. Servo is servant, which is the hero inside of us, which is a leader, right? To serve others, to put other people's needs in front of yours. And so like leadership to me is like absolute responsibility. And so there's a different view of responsibility that I have. So like when I say responsibility, what does responsibility mean to you?
Getting things, I don't know. That's like everything. I
think getting
just, like,
things done, or like going to work or taking responsibility. So I have a view of responsibility.
Owning ownership, I think, is a big thing for responsibility.
Yeah. So like empowerment is what I view as taking responsibility. Right. I don't feel like it is like an action of like going out and doing something. Like, yeah, there's a part of that. But responsibility is like owning the outcome, right? Like owning where you land. Like we're the creator. I believe like I'm the creator of my life. And so like even in this moment right now, I've created this. And so I'm empowered. I'm in choice. See, there's two different types of mindsets that I believe. There's like a victim mindset, and then there's like a responsible mindset, which is like empowerment, right? And so I believe like leadership is like a role of like empowerment, of like detaching from the outcomes of like what people do or receive or perceive, but it's like, who am I showing up as? Who am I being when I step up and communicate from this place? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting that, because I always said ownership and you say empowerment, and I feel like ownership is this more of a singular thing, but you're talking about ownership of an outcome versus empowerment is like not a singular thing.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Maybe I just need to think more about other people. I don't know. I gotta sit and think on that one for a second.
Yeah.
But.
And what are the distinctions that you're looking at?
Well, again, like when I think of ownership, for me, I think one of my superpowers is like owning. If I want something, I'm not going to stop until I get it.
Sure.
And I like own everything that I like set my mind to and what I want to do. And that's why it's always been like a singular individual thing. And maybe it's because I've been burned also by a lot of people that have been like, oh, I'm going to do it with you. And then they like kind of drop off, or I'm sure you've dealt with that. And so,
so hold on. So are you doing something hoping an expectation comes your way? Or are you doing it because it's out of the kindness of your heart? Or are you doing it because it's who you're being?
well, it just depends on like what I'm owning, right? Like if it's like
But anything so give me an example of the two differences.
so like, let's say for example, like I want to start a nonprofit that helps women in Armenia, like, give them scholarships to go into STEM careers.
Love that, right?
That's like for everyone else. But for me, it's like, I have to own that. And it's still kind of more of a personal thing where I'm like, I'm trying to do my best. And I do recognize that I don't bring a lot of people into the fold because I a lot of times think I just need to do it by myself.
Right.
So it's something I'm working on. But like the ownership to me, even though that's for everyone else and it's helping a group of people,
Sure.
ownership to me is like, I am doing this like to solve this problem for everyone else.
And do you want to know how you can become better at solving people's problems? Is teaching other people how to solve people's problems.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think the distinction for me and that's like the transition that I made to become like, in my mind, like a real leader was
Right.
like, I put other people's needs in front of mine.
Right.
And by doing that, it has allowed me to heal. It's allowed me to become a better human being. So notice, like when you teach somebody something, when you're inspiring somebody, like through your messaging, through your storytelling, you're reliving those experiences. So you're actually growing, you're embodying who you're being. So you're becoming a better human being. You're becoming the changed version of yourself.
Right.
And see, in my view, like life is all about like who you're being. Right? So like if you're feeling insecure, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling inadequate and you're pursuing something, you're being an inadequate, insecure person. But if you be a loving person, or you're like compassionate, or you're forgiving, and you pursue it from that perspective, you're going to get a much different outcome.
For sure. And I definitely think it's probably because of like the stage of life I'm in, because I've had like teams where I've led and I'm like the same, where I'm like, if you're working, I'm working, like I'm going to like teach you, lead you. But right now I'm just like, it's just me. So like when I had interns too, I had 10 interns, I was definitely like constantly there. I was doing more of the intern work than I was doing my own work, because I was trying to just teach them and like get them up to speed and like make sure they could learn how to do everything cyber. But at this phase, it's like mostly me. So that's probably why it's mostly an ownership. Anyways.
Do you feel like you have a struggle with leadership, or what do you think like the gap is, or
I don't think I have a struggle with leadership. I also think it depends on how you lead. There's multiple leaders. So in my past job, when I worked at TikTok, I disagreed with the way that people led there. I am with my team. Like I am in the trenches. That. I will take on more work than they do. And I kind of shield them and protect them. Whereas a lot of the leaders are just like, no, your team does it. You just manage them. And that's not how I lead.
I would say I'm more of the opinion of you are. I like that, like leading by example versus like being a dictator,
right?
Rather than like leading from leverage, know, like leading from like empowerment or inspiration.
I do think there's a balance though. I haven't gotten that balance yet.
Yeah. Well, also you did say something like shielding, protecting. So like I found that, I am a protector by nature because of my childhood and what I went through, and with my sister being a handicap and all that stuff. And like, I believe in the underdog. So for me, it's like when I see somebody that is like struggling, like I want to protect them.
Right.
So to your point about the balance of it, I think it's important, because if I continue to shield and protect somebody, they're not going to learn the experience that they need to learn so they can become better.
Right.
So there's definitely like a happy medium there for sure that I still at times struggle with, because like I am inspired to like jump up and get it done and do it and like motivated, but then at times that's taking away somebody else's opportunity to grow and to expand and to be inspired. And
right.
Yeah. That's cool.
I know we had not talked about anything cybersecurity wise, but I think this is, to be fair, I think there needs to be a balance of like a normal life and cyber, and like in tech in general, because I think the tech world is just like very focused on like business and outcomes and deliverables. Sure. And I think a lot of people are struggling with depression, and just the people that I've seen that are in the tech world, it's really hard for them right now. And I think
why do you think that is?
Again, I think it's so driven by like deliverables and timelines and outcomes, and they are just constantly grinding. Like it's like you're kind of just like work to death in the tech world. Like that there's not really especially if you work for big tech companies, there's no balance. And I don't believe in the work-life balance. I think that's nearly impossible. But there's just nothing. Like, you're just constantly grinding. And I was there, and I think because of that, you don't have time to reflect. You don't have time to listen to your intuition. You don't have time to like sit and figure out what you need, what you want. All you're doing, you're in constant fight or flight.
Wow. Yeah.
So.
I think that's with most industries.
Yeah.
You know, like I even find myself at times, even
entrepreneurs.
Like, yeah.
It's so
for sure.
rough. Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
So I literally just did a recovery retreat. So for me, I've integrated practices throughout the year where like I force myself to go away and do seminars. So like for me, like I'll do Joe Dispenza for a week long. I'll do meditation. I'll go to Tony Robbins. So this weekend I did a recovery retreat in Texas where it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Turn off my phone. It was just 70 guys. We all got together. We did recovery stuff, and it was really interesting because it took me probably like 24 hours to like detox the phone.
Yeah.
Like my brain was like, the phone's over there. And I was
walking
on
Instagram.
Yeah. Like I was like walking to to eat dinner, and like I could like literally hear the phone, like, just log in and look, just turn it on and look. I'm like, no, I'm like fighting my internal battle. So yeah, I get it. But I forced myself to do that. I forced myself to like sit alone and be still because, man, I will go. I will not stop, and I'll like burn myself out for sure.
Yeah, I'm reading like a Christian book on like hurrying and like being basically impatient like myself, and I don't really remember the name right now, but it's making me really appreciate just understanding that being busy isn't helping anyone, and like being busy is actually like a selfish act because you're like trying to do everything yourself, and you're not like sitting there and enjoying and being present and being loving or whatever you need to do.
Sure.
You're just being busy. And so I'm like working on not being busy.
Yeah.
Or overwhelmed.
Who are you being right now?
I think I'm just being genuine nerdy Caitlin.
Okay.
Open, honest
I love
Caitlin.
That.
Might be saying too much stuff, but it's okay.
I love that. Say it again.
Said might be saying too many things, but it's okay.
You think so?
No, it's okay. I'm an open book.
Okay. Did you think we should have talked more on cybersecurity and not this other good stuff?
No, and that's why when I was like, I wonder what we're going to talk about, and I honestly I didn't really care. And to be fair, I actually thought that it would be really good to talk about just like emotions and being like, I love talking about like the feminine side of being a woman in cyber. Wow. So I love talking about this.
Yeah. So I heard something that I thought was like really cool. So perfectionism is the lowest form of effort, because doing something that's impossible is so like for me, like I'm such a perfectionist and
really?
I battle with this. Do I not seem like a perfectionist?
I mean, you seem pretty chill, so everything doesn't seem like that. Like I feel like perfectionists are like extreme type A, where everything has to have a place.
Well, I've definitely evolved. Okay. Like I guess I'm an evolved perfectionist.
You're an evolved perfectionist. Here we go with the names again.
Yeah, evolving a little bit. My identity. Oh God. I mean, at my core, like the core of Ryan Zofe is like needing to prove myself, like not ever feeling good enough, and so like it drives me to just want to be like so big and like so impressive, because I want everybody to love me and I want everybody to like appreciate me.
Yeah.
So at the core, it's crazy because like at the core, like I think for me right now, like my biggest unconscious like program running is like I want everybody to like me. Like that's like the most important thing for me. Right. I don't even know what's going on consciously. So like like even now talking about it, I'm like, holy shit. Like, cause like when I'm playing the tape of like you coming here and like, I want this to be like the best podcast. I want to be impressive.
It is the best podcast.
I get it, but you know what I mean? It's like unconsciously now I'm like looking at it, I'm like, oh shit.
No, it's great. I mean, I think everyone wants to be the best. For me, I'm actually not a perfectionist at all. Like everyone thinks I'm like some extreme type. I think I'm a perfectionist with the certain aspects, and especially when it comes to like ownership and like me wanting to do something. But when I first started my channel, I think that's why I did so well, is because I'm not a perfectionist. If you look, like, not my videos aren't like perfect. They're literally recorded on my phone. Some of them are shaky. And I started it and I said, as long as I help one person per video, that's all I really care about.
Wow.
And so that's kind of where my motto's been. And everyone, is like, are you going to change it up and like try to get more professional looking videos? And I'm like, not really, because like my brand is like me. It's like you talking to your best friend, and it's not ever perfect. Like no one is perfect. And so for me, social media is like, I think the people that do the best are the ones that are like the most imperfect people.
Yeah.
Imperfect.
I resonate with
normal.
Yeah. And so Eileen Wilder said something to me that I think is so cool. She's like, do it janky. So like in my mind, like when I'm thinking about trying to be perfect, I'm like, just do it janky.
Yeah.
Just get in the game.
Just get it done.
Yeah. So I also have like imperfect videos. I'm like in my car, like shaking and shit.
Really? I thought your videos are always like really good.
No. Well, I mean, so like they'll edit these and like these will be what they'll put out there, but most of them are on my phone, like in the car. I'm like, hey guys, it's like trying to,
Car videos are the best.
That's what they say. Yeah.
Yeah. Just because you feel like you're just
chilling,
chatting with someone in the car.
Chilling.
Yeah.
And so what do you think, what would you say to the listeners? Like, what do you think is most important for a woman to do to really get into her femininity?
Yeah, I think to stop grinding. So one thing I wanted to tell every woman in STEM is like, stop trying to prove to yourself or to other people that you deserve to be here, because we deserve it no matter what. You worked hard, you got the job, you got your college career, whatever it is, you deserve to be here just as much as everyone else does. And sometimes you just need to take a step back from the quote unquote grinding and just start enjoying a follower type of role. Like, I want my man to lead. And if I'm constantly leading and driving and wearing the pants, I'm not going to find someone that's going to lead. And so, and then obviously it's different if you're whoever you're trying to find, if you're not trying to find anyone. But for me, it was like really taking a step back and sitting in the passenger seat and kind of looking at my life and enjoying my life from a passenger seat rather than like constantly driving.
That's good.
Is there any other suggestions that I can do to be in my feminine?
Sorry, Alex. Is Alex, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Alex. So do you feel like he drives?
Yeah.
Leads? Okay.
That's why I love hanging out with him, because I feel like when I'm with him, I can just be in my feminine. I don't have to lead.
So you feel safe?
Very safe.
So what are some of the characteristics that he has that allows you to feel safe?
It's hard to put it in words, and I was actually thinking about this the other day, but everything that he does, like he tells me things that I didn't know I needed to hear. Things like I couldn't even give examples, but like he just makes me feel so safe emotionally, physically, financially. Like he takes care of himself, and therefore he takes care of me. Like, even though he does everything that he needs to do for work, it like trickles down to making me feel safe. Wow.
I love that. And so for those of you that are listening, what she just said was just being real.
Yeah.
Right? Like the truth and of like what's like so what it sounded like, and correct me if I'm wrong, so he's just honest with you, like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, this is what's going on. So the more he can express himself, the more you understand how he's feeling, which causes you to feel safe. Yeah.
And for the men out there, women like to, I'll speak for myself, I love to overanalyze everything. So if I get
how
nothing,
are you analyzing me right now?
We don't want to talk about that.
No, give it to me.
No, you're good. This is like your bread and butter. You're chilling. No, but like if we don't hear a lot of communication from you, then we start making things up in our head.
I think it's anybody though.
Yeah, but women are like, I mean, I read like a study that said like women need more sleep because we think more, and it's like, it's not, we don't think more, we just overthink more. Like we kind of take things and spiral, and it all stays in our head. I'm gonna not say we, because I don't want to speak for other women. I take things and spiral. And so even it's just like the basic clear communication, like, hey, I'm gonna go to the gym, I won't be on my phone for a couple hours, like, he doesn't even need to say that, but he just says he'll go to the gym. Sure. Like, just communicating like what's going on. And then like, I love being able to see him take care of himself too. Like, I want someone that can take care of themselves, like take care of themselves, take care of everything, their life. And the other thing is, I want them to be happy with their life. Because the men that are like constantly seeking like a relationship, you're running from your own life. Like, you're not happy with your life. Wow. Because you're trying to find happiness with someone else.
That's so good.
And the one thing I loved about Alex was like, he was like, I don't think he had a girlfriend for 10 years, which was kind of a red flag to me at first. Yeah. But I also, right before I met him, I told my cousin, I was like, I want a guy that is so freaking happy with his life that when he meets me, he's like, oh my gosh, wait, let me rethink this, because now I like really realize that I need you in my life.
So good.
And so that's what it is. He was so happy. He's like, I never really found any woman that I thought would like enhance my life. And honestly, he saw a lot of women that were kind of ruining some of his friends' lives. And he just was like, I didn't see a point at that point. And then he's like, and then I met you, and I just like did. That's so good. Yeah, it's different.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think it's incredible what you've created and what you've established. And I think it's okay that like women can step into the masculine energy. I think it's important, because I think it's like a part of evolution. Like I think it's so important for Because even like for me, like I've gone from one extreme to the other. Like I was like a man's man. Like growing up, my dad didn't express emotions. Like I was a fighter. I was like very angry, and like there was no like off switch. It was like I was just so masculine to the point where I was like rough around the edges, and I'm probably still a little rough around the edges. And then what I realized is that I created so much damage in so many people's lives because I was just like so like one-sided and so like aggressive. And then I went from one extreme to the other, and I became like super feminine. And it's funny because in say it again, Armenian.
Yeah.
So there was an Armenian friend of mine. We were in Texas. It was October 2021, and I was flying back on a private jet. And her husband is good friends of mine. I was like, hey, she can fly back with me. So we're literally at the airport, and this was like such like a humbling experience. She's like, Ryan, she's like, you're really feminine. And I was like, it really crushed me because like I always consider myself like a man's man,
right.
You know, like I'm tough, you know, like get dirty, you know,
you
rub dirt
tough.
on it, walk it off, boy, you know, like that was my mindset. And I was like, holy shit. And what I realized is like I went from one extreme to the other. I was like such a sissy, and I was like, yeah, like in a sense. And so like having that conversation with her, it was like really cool because I was like, whoa. And then like, you know, I was quiet for like 10 minutes, and then I was like, hey, can we talk about that thing that you just said? And so on the flight back home, we were talking about it, and it was really cool because she was able to like coach me on it, and I was able to identify like I went from one extreme to the other. So I feel like if I didn't go to the extreme feminine side of Ryan, I wouldn't be able to find like the balance now. And like now I feel like I'm very like in tune. Yeah. I'm very like genuine and sensitive, which I think is important because it's welcoming, you know, and like when you, because I think I have this vision of like a masculine man, but then when I'm able to like drop into my heart and be like sensitive, it like welcomes people in. So I think that's also a new leadership skill that I've learned.
Yeah. No, I think it's super important, like you said, to have both. And I think for me too, like my mom was incredible. We obviously have different love languages, and my mom, her love language is just like acts of service. And so everything that she did was to show that she loved us. And I think that was like, you know, she was in her masculine, but that's the way that I grew up with. And I think, you know, thinking about it when I have kids, like for me, it's going to be probably somewhat similar. Obviously I think love languages, I can be all of them. And I think it also depends on like, you know, whether you're in your masculine or feminine for each love language. But, as a mother, I think you a lot of times even need to be in your masculine in order to like get things done.
Sure.
For my mom, she had 3 kids in 2 years. I mean, she had to do literally everything while my dad was at work. So you have to be able to take both roles. And I'm honestly so happy that I got to, like you said, be part of one extreme to the other extreme. That was one of the main reasons, honestly, why I quit my corporate job.
Wow.
I was finding that I was grinding and I could not separate myself because every time I got into that corporate atmosphere and I was like in the leadership role and I was working with a ton of men and I was trying to prove and grind, and I was just like, I'm never able to drop into my feminine when I get home. And I'm also not doing myself any favors because, you know, I never envisioned that I was going to be like the next CEO. Like when I was little, I always wanted to be like a mom. I always wanted to have a family with kids. Wow. And I was realizing like being that person was really stopping me from what I wanted in my future. And it wasn't like making me happy. Like making all this money is not making me happy. What would make me happy for me is having a family. And I won't be able to get there if I can't, you know, properly adjust feminine, masculine, and have like a kind of a balance in my life, and also like not have a life to date and meet people. And also I wasn't able to really grow my business when I was doing that too. So that was like the other reason. But,
so how long have you been an entrepreneur?
I mean, I've been an entrepreneur now for like 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
But I really quit corporate like a year and a bit ago.
Okay, so you were doing both.
Yeah, I was doing both, and that was a lot too, because I mean you can't.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you had to until you build up enough revenue to kind of break out on your own.
Yeah. So
that's so cool.
It's been fun.
Yeah, I have barely worked for anybody in my entire life, so I'm so grateful for that. Like at such an early age, I was always just out there doing my own thing. Yeah. And I'm so grateful for that. I didn't know any better. I just figured like this is the path. You know what it is? I suck at playing in other people's sandbox.
Right.
I am such a disruptor. Like I do not want to follow rules. I don't want to listen to you. Like if you tell me something, I'm already.
But I think like It depends on the leader, right?
I overanalyze everything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll hear something you say and I'm already thinking like I could do it better. I want to do it better. I'm going to try it even hard. I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Like I'm like obsessed in that aspect. Like even if I do it 1,000 times and fail, in my mind I think like eventually I'll figure it out better than you. So yeah, whatever that's for.
It's a good mindset to have, but also
guess.
it's terrifying.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on the leader, right? Like I've had good and bad leaders because I was in corporate for like 10 years, right? And I had really good leaders
That's a
when I
good
first
point,
started.
yeah.
And then at the tail end, I honestly was scarred with the leaders that I had. Like
Wow.
it was not an ideal circumstance. And actually my boyfriend's who he reports to, I don't know, it's like a leader or whatever, but like I told him like when I saw him last, I was like, I would ideally like love to like work with you. Like he was like the pinnacle of leader. Like, know, there are certain people that are just like the most amazing, incredible leaders.
Right. Yeah.
Like
fair
wouldn't
enough.
you want to work for like I don't know, Tony Robbins or Grant Cardone, or and maybe not work for them, but like I'm sure there's been people that you're like, this person is an awesome leader.
Well, yeah. So for me,
and I respect
Tony
them.
was like the ideal leader, and I've been with him for over 5 years now. So a lot of like his characteristics and his habits and his views I've adopted for sure. And I think the biggest piece for me is like how selfless he is.
Right.
And that's something that like really, really resonates with me, because for somebody to do those kinds of acts of service and not expect anything in return, I think is so inspirational for me. So like,
Right.
those movie Gladiator, or like, you ever seen the movie Gladiator?
I actually haven't.
You got to see it. It's
I
insane.
know. That's okay. We'll
So
see
like
it.
Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela. So like
Yeah.
when I hear those stories, like it inspires me so much, and I like to envision myself as that type of leader, like the one that's gonna like stand and be the change for everybody, like the one that's willing to risk it all. Like
Have you ever asked your team if you're that type of leader? Because I've always wanted to ask my team, and I'm always like mortified of their answer.
Yeah, I'll ask them. I mean, I think there's a version of that they experience, because they and one thing I have done better at is receiving thanks and receiving feedback, and like really, because I have a hard time like receiving. Like it's really easy for me to give, but like when somebody gives to me, it's at first it was like very awkward, and so I've definitely practiced on like receiving, and so I love a good jackpot now. So like if you want to give me good compliments, you can. I'll take it.
I will when it's warranted.
Okay, when I prove myself, all right.
I mean, yeah, no, I'm an open book.
I'm just kidding. Oh man, this was great. I had no idea what we were going to talk about either. I usually don't know. I don't come in scripted.
Me neither.
You know, it's funny. I was like, get her bio, and then I'm like, I didn't even look at it. I like started looking at it. I'm like, I'm not going to look at this.
Yeah, you guys asked me like what I wanted to talk about. I was like, honestly, I don't really usually have a script or a.
Yeah.
Even when I get sent questions, I don't normally look.
You interview very well, by the way.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I need to work on receiving feedback. I'm not good
Is it
at
hard for you?
Yes, it's so uncomfortable.
Wow. What's uncomfortable about it?
I just don't feel like I deserve it.
Why?
Because we're both doing it. We're both
okay.
great. It's fine.
But how?
It's not that I don't deserve it. I think it's like I know that I guess this sounds maybe selfish. I feel like I know when I'm good, so I don't need to hear. Like I'm not a words of affirmation person. Maybe that's why.
I love words of affirmation.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I hate it.
I like all the love languages. I want it all.
I'm always like, thanks, you too. Not the best. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I know my weaknesses.
Yeah, I don't think they're weaknesses.
Okay, I know areas of improvement.
If you want to say that. I mean, at the core of it, it's just like
Who we are.
absolute acceptance. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Do you believe in God?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So God created you. God's perfect. So clearly He made you perfect
Right.
the way you are. And
Perfectly
so
imperfect.
yeah, perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
But who's saying it's imperfect?
No one.
I mean, the human condition could say it is, but like if you really look at it, right, the character, the nature, the intention of God, like character of God is like holy. Holy
Right.
is unique and one.
Right.
So like none of us there's only one Ryan Zofe fingerprint in the whole world. And so He clearly made me unique and special. And like the more I can believe that and the more I can like accept that, the better I'm going to feel about myself, because so often people compare themselves to other people and like, or they think they should be further along than they really are. But once you realize like you're right where you're supposed to be in this very moment, and like you're perfect, like there's this sense of like this peace that comes with it, right? The character, the nature of God. God can't lie.
Right.
I didn't say God doesn't lie. God can't lie. So
Right.
there's no such thing. and then the intention of God is good, right? So like when you live in the essence of God and you're being that version of you, the whole world opens up for you.
Right. And so this is where this kind of ties back to the hurry, right? Because for me, I always felt like, okay, God gave me these abilities. He put me on this planet for good to do all these things. And it's like, it's to do all these things, right? So I'm like, oh, I need to do all this stuff in order to like really fulfill what he put me on this planet for, and to like live out whatever he needs me to live out.
Sure.
But sometimes because of that, I feel actually rushed. And so I feel like I need to be like I'm behind what he wants me to do, or like I'm not where he needs me to be. And so I actually always have to tell myself like that's not the case at all. Like I'm like in the most perfect spot and I'm literally where he needs me to be right now. Yeah. But I struggle with that a lot. That's like one of the reasons why I hurry a lot too, is I feel like I'm letting him down when I'm not doing all these things that I think could, better or further the needle.
Sure. And so you don't feel like you're meeting your full potential?
Right. But I don't think I could meet any, like, I mean, I'm literally doing everything to hit that full potential. So it's a mindset thing of like, what is full potential, and what is full potential to God too. For
sure. But I think the distinction that's important is like, who are you being when you're doing it?
Right. And that's what I'm working on, because I think being in that hurry state is not being anything. You're just being like,
why are you hurrying though? Like what do you think is like, who do you think you're being, or who do you think you like, what itch do you think you're looking to scratch, or what need do you think you're pursuing by hurrying?
I just have always been in a hurry, but especially with social media, I always feel like kind of like the 15 minutes of fame, like, maybe one day TikTok's going to disappear. Right. And like, okay, then I lost like that platform and like that. So then if I wasn't hurrying and I could have reached more people, or I could have, impacted, like, the amount of women that actually it's incredible have come up to me at conferences being like, you're the reason why I went into cyber. It's like the coolest thing ever. Wow. And I, again, I'm like, what, how did I do that? That's amazing. I'm so happy. But it's like, if I get that in my head and then I'm like, okay, if I missed a video yesterday, or I am not doing everything I can to help, then I feel that's why I'm in a hurry.
Yeah, I get it. But I think urgency is important though.
Yeah, it is to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, like,
we don't want to just be busy to be busy.
Right.
Sometimes
spinning your wheels, just staying on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, direction versus just being busy, I think is important.
Right.
But yeah, this was great, Caitlin. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate this. So if you got a lot out of this YouTube video, share it with your friends, comment below. And yeah, any last words, Caitlin, you'd like to say?
I guess since it is cybersecurity stuff, I'll give 4 tips for people to like.
Yeah, let's talk about cybersecurity.
So they don't get hacked, and then we can.
Let's talk about cybersecurity already. Jesus.
We don't have to talk about it. I don't trust me. I talk about cybersecurity every day. I don't need to talk about it a lot. But if they came on to think that they were getting cybersecurity and they got emotional intelligence lessons, which we all need anyways. But there's like 4 things that I always tell people. One is like, don't click on phishing links, which that happens to a lot of people, and if it looks sketchy, a lot of times it's
Are you throwing me under the bus?
I'm throwing everyone under the bus.
Oh, okay.
Most of these data breaches happen because of a phishing issue.
Going down rabbit holes?
Going down rabbit holes. I mean, what happens is they like make it sound urgent and important, and it looks legit, and the people that click on it are the ones that are like frazzled, or the ones that like me, that are just like, oh my gosh, I just need to get done. Like, and they just click on it and they do it, and then they realize too late. So like, don't click on any links, honestly. If there's just don't click on links. And then the second thing is like, don't use public Wi-Fi to do anything. Like, don't log into anything on public Wi-Fi. Use a VPN, a virtual private network. Okay. It encrypts everything. And then passwords are really important. Eventually one day we will not have any passwords, and hopefully soon, in like the next couple of years, but passwords get leaked on the dark web all the time, and what happens is people, I'm just going to change one aspect of it. I'll change like an add a 1, 2, 3 or something. Well, that doesn't really work, because hackers literally can run an algorithm within like 30 seconds. They can run like 10,000 variations of your password that they found online, and then they usually get in.
Holy cow.
So have like a very unique password. And I know that we all have like a bajillion different accounts. For the ones that like don't need an account, just don't create one. Just sign out as a guest. And then the ones that are important, like for me, it's social media, because that's like my business, and same for you, and like health or banking, like make sure those are like very unique and strong. And then update softwares. No one wants to update softwares because they think the iPhone situation, where they thought their iPhone's going to go a lot slower. But what they don't realize is all the updates for softwares, literally it's addressing a vulnerability or like a bug in the system. So if you delay that. All the threat actors already know that there's a hole, and if you have that application or you're going to that website and there's a hole in the website and you're still using it because it's not updated, then they're going to be able to get in very easily because you're literally just going into an application that has a fault in it.
Wow.
So
if you need more on cybersecurity, Caitlin will definitely solve your problems. Do you have a coaching program by any chance?
I don't.
No.
Well, I'm gonna launch a cybersecurity community for people that want to get a career in cyber.
Okay.
And that's launching in like a month and a half. So I'm pretty
cool.
excited about it. I'm doing with one of my really close friends who's a mentor of mine. And then I will have an application out that literally goes through any like IoT, like internet connected device or website or app. And it goes through security and privacy settings and how to actually set it up. So that will come out too.
Sure. And so not only if you're dealing with cybersecurity, but if you also want a very strong entrepreneurial woman that is in her feminine, that knows how to be badass. No, stop it. You're not trying. You're doing. You're being right now. Caitlin is definitely that for you. Any of those ladies out there that want to be successful and know that you can do both, she's here for you. And again, share the YouTube video, like us, comment below, all that good stuff. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Caitlin, for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it.
God bless.
Fun. Appreciate it.
All right.
Look at us. I got my workout in.